Hey everybody, welcome to a special holiday week Fit Tip Tuesday. Normally I do short tips or Q&A. Today what I want to do first of all is open a pile of warm hats for all. I got 4 packages in the mail all within a day of each other, so I'm going to open those up to share with you some of the hats I'm receiving for my Warm Hats for All. If you'd like to participate, I have a free fleece hat pattern on my website, and I'll put a link to that below so you can check that out. If you send me a hat, I'm going to send you a coupon code for $10 off in my online store. And initially I made it a free PDF pattern because all my PDF patterns are $10, but I decided to just make it good for whatever you want. So if you want to put it towards something else, you can. So let's get started here. I'm going to open up this one first. Let me see. I got my my crappy scissors. Oh, this one I think I can just take the tape off. Right, let's see. Oh, look at how cute these are. There's a card. Let me see. Oh, those are really nice. And they are from Dodie, and she says, "What a great idea. These are made from scraps left over from making my granddaughter a snuggle blanket." Oh, thank you, Dodie. If you're watching, I will get your coupon code out to you. Very, very nice. All right, let's see what the next one is. I have someone did a priority mail. Let's open that one. Ooh, I see yellow and black. Let me see. Oh, this is so exciting. I love to see all the colors. Oops. Oh, there is a card. The card says, what a nice gesture to collect donated hats. I've included 2. The black one is Polar Tech and appears to be somewhat water repellent. Happy holidays, Stephanie. Thank you, Stephanie. Look at how cool. Love it. And look at this cozy yellow one. These are going to make somebody's head nice and warm. Okay, let's see. I see that people are recycling their packaging, and I really like to see that. I try to do that as well. This one's from Kim. Okay, let's see. From Kim. Let's read the card first. Dear Jennifer, I was very touched by your hat idea and all your family is doing to provide for families in need. I have some fleece and was able to make 2 hats. I don't have enough to make the braid so cute. I love this pattern and thought they could be personalized as gifts by attaching a flower or coffee cup or something like that to the brim. Enjoy the holidays. Wishing you a new year filled with fun, love, and excellent health. Happy sewing, Kim. Thank you so much, Kim. Let's see. Oh, look at how nice. Oh, these are really, really nice. I love both versions. Very nice. Oh, and look, she took the time to actually top stitch. Very, very nice. This is so exciting. All right, I know my sister-in-law Jackie is going to be so excited to see these hats. She already has all the other ones that I received. Let's see. Okay, let's see. God bless and Merry Christmas from Classical Sewing with Madeline. Look at that dog. Paw print, stripes, and candy dispensers. Very, very nice. This is so exciting. This brings our total up to 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 hats we've collected so far. I really appreciate everybody taking the time, and I do know that some people have emailed me to say that they've sent hats, but they're stuck in the mail. Don't worry about that. It's going to be a long winter. You know, I just really appreciate all of your effort. I'm very touched. So thank you so much. I will be getting coupon codes out to people. Let me just make sure. I think everybody gave me their email, so I will get on that after I finish shooting this exciting video. All right, so like I said, normally I do a quick tip, and today what I'm going to do is a little bit of a mini project. I've already cut it out, so it should be a pretty quick thing to sew up, and it's going to be a little bit of a test. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably have seen some of my hiking pictures. I love to hike. I have my spike snow tires for my hiking sneakers, and I bought a headlight, and last night I actually did my first night hike. I loved it. But I'm noticing as it gets colder and if the wind kicks up, my leggings are not warm enough, and I'm really hustling out there, so I can't put on something bulky. And it also can't be too warm because I do get overheated really fast. So I'm going to test the theory of using my performance sports knit, which is a moisture wicking antimicrobial fabric, and I'm actually going to make a lined pair. So you can see here, I've already cut out 2 sets of legs, and you can see the inside, or the wrong sides, are already folded right side together, and you can see that the insides are very linty, and that's because this fabric has a really plush inside for against your skin. So if you decide you want to try this and you want to use my performance sports knit, just know that you want to put the plush side to the inside of your garment, because otherwise you're going to look like a lint roller after about 5 minutes. So I just want to show you the pattern first, and then I'll show you how I deal with the actual pieces. So you can see what I did to my pattern. The first thing I did was I wanted to be a little bit higher in the rise, so I added 1.5 inches in the back and 1 inch in the front, and then I just drew a higher top edge before I put my waistband on. And then the other thing I did was I've lost 15 pounds since this whole pandemic started because I go hiking 4 or 5 days a week, and I was working with the extra large. So what I did was I cut out the large, but I added a little bit of extra length in the crotch curve front and back because it's going to be lined, so there's going to be an extra layer of fabric under there, and I just wanted to make sure they weren't too tight. And then I cut the full length out, but you can see here I took it in, and my ankle width is actually 8 inches before I sew it. So I took in the leg to make it more of a legging instead of a yoga pant. So that's what my pattern looks like. And really, this is such a fun project. I can make a pair of these in 15 minutes if I was just making a single pair. So this I think will go pretty quickly. I'm just going to put that over there. So the first thing is you want to make sure you have 2 rights. Well, if you were making a single pair, you'd want to make sure you had 1 right and 1 left leg. And the way I can tell for sure that I'm going to have that is by looking at how they're folded. And I think, so let me just look at these 2 first. Okay, so this one, I'm just going to lay them side by side so I can see what's going on here. I think I folded these wrong, actually. So this will be a good example for us to get right out of the gate. Okay, so you can see here I have my legs folded in half, and I can see I have a problem, and the reason why, there's 2 things that are telltale signs. If you fold your legs in half, to double check, you should have the lower or higher Either the back edges should both be on top or the front edges should both be on top. And I don't know if you can see on camera, but this one's a little bit darker. The darker side is the wrong side of the fabric. So I've actually created two of one leg. So I'm going to turn this one around. And see, this is why it's always good to check, double check when you're sewing this pattern. All right, so now you can see they're both dark, the fronts are on top, and they're pointing in opposite directions. So now I know this set is all ready to sew. Okay, so I'm going to put that one aside. We're just going to check the second one, and then we're going to get the serger out. So I think this one is correct. Let me see. Okay, so that's the back, and this is the back, and they're both darker. Okay, so you can see here they're pointing in opposite directions, and both back edges are on top, so this one is correct. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set my serger up for a 4-thread stretch stitch, and I will be right back. Okay, I've got my serger set up. Now I'm going to show you how we're going to put these legs together. The first step is we're going to create 4 tubes. Okay, so I'm going to take, and I'm going to keep them in sets of 2 so I don't screw anything up. So let me just get my first set. I'm going to keep my second set over there. And I don't know, I know probably I'm the last person on the universe to discover wonder clips. I am in love with them. I very rarely touch a pin now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my wonder clips to pin at the top and at the ankle. See, I want these to be really snug at my ankle so the snow doesn't get in. And then I think maybe I'll put one pin in the middle here somewhere. All right, so I call wonder clips pins, so if you hear me say pin, I really mean wonder clip. And let me just do the other one. And actually, while we're doing this, I'm just going to do the other set too, so we can just do everything all in one. So there's my top. And my bottom. All right, so if you sent me a hat and you wanted to use your $10 thank you coupon code, you could get $10 off Performance Sports knit. I have black in stock right now. All right, let me just finish that. All right, so I've got that pinned and this pinned. I'm just going to stick those aside, and I'm going to pin these. And one of the reasons why I like these wonder clips is they don't fall off. And I went crazy and I bought a set of 100 of them, so I have plenty. Let me just get this all set up, and then we're going to sew some inseams. All right, so as with anything, you always want to check on a scrap to make sure your differential feed setting is good for the fabric you're using. I'm sewing along the lengthwise grain, which has some stretch, but it's not as stretchy as the crosswise grain. So let me just check it here and see. I have my differential feed set on neutral. All right, let's just lay this flat and see if it's stretching out of shape at all. I think it's stretching a little bit. It's very subtle, but the fabric is rippling just a little bit. So I'm going to go up to the 1.3 differential feed setting and try that. Yeah, I think that's a better setting. It's laying nice and flat. If you're going to be making this project and you're not using my Performance Sports Knit, that's okay. You just want to make sure your fabric has significant four-way stretch. And I mean stretch crosswise and lengthwise, because the crotch points are really short and they're depending on that four-way stretch to get a good fit. So just make sure if you're not using my fabric, use a good quality four-way stretch. So I'm going to start at the top at the crotch, and we're going to sew down to the hems, the hem edges. So I am just going to stick this under here. And I'm not trimming anything. I am just going to skim the edge as I go. And when you're working on a long seam, you want to kind of manage and make sure your fabric is feeding evenly. So I'm kind of keeping track of it, you know, and then just check and make sure that nothing's shifting. All right, so to keep my two sets of legs separated, I'm just going to continue like I'm production sewing right on the top of this opposite leg in the same set of two. Okay. All right, we're almost done with this set. All right, so I have one set sewn. I'm going to sew the second set and I'll be right back. All right, if I were making a single layer or just a single pair of these yoga pants, my next step would be I would take two legs and I would turn one of them right side out and I would put it inside the inside out one and I would make a tube that looked like this. Yeah, see, I've got my right sides together, okay, and I've created a tube basically inside a tube. And then the next step would be to sew the crotch. But because I'm making a lined pair, the first thing I want to do is finish the hem. So instead of, you know, worrying about the crotch right now, I'm going to create two sets of legs that are, you know, right sides together. So one of these will be my left leg and the other will be my right leg. But you can see I've created, I put them right sides together, okay, and I've got a right and left set now. Instead of doing crotches, we're going to do hems. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a piece of Wonder Tape and I'm going to just stick it on the seam allowance, like the serge seam allowance, so I can have one going and I can have them going in opposite directions essentially. I don't want it to be really bulky. Okay, you can see on this one I already did it. I just stuck a piece of Wonder Tape to hold the seam allowance down, and then I did the opposite inside leg going in the opposite direction. See, there's my Wonder Tape. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to use my Wonder clips, Wonder Tape, Wonder clips. So exciting. I'm going to line up my inseam here. I'm just going to use a Wonder clip to hold it. And then I'll stick one more on the opposite side where my side seam would be if there was one. Okay, so I've got that lined up like that. So we are going to sew those together and then I'm going to turn it right side out and the hem is going to be finished. All right, so that's how I'm going to do that. Let me just get the other leg all set up with the Wonder Tape. All right, so just to show you from the start, I'm going to take the Wonder Tape and I'm going to stick it right here on the seam itself. And I'm going to peel the paper off. And then I'm going to press it down. So the inside one is going in that direction. Okay, it's going this way to the right. And I'm going to take the opposite one and I'm going to have it go in the left position, or the left direction. In this way, that seam won't be as bulky. All right, so let me just peel the paper away from this one. All right, so I'm just going to do that. Now I'm going to just pin them, matching that inseam. Black is a little tough. I hope you guys can see. I'm just going to put a pin there. And then one on the opposite side, just to hold it all together. Like this. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the serger, and I'm going to sew inside these circles to finish these hems. All right, so what I'm going to do, basically what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to stretch this opening out so I can stick the hem underneath the presser foot with a wonder clip in the front and the back. I'm just going to make sure it's butted up against the knife. And I'm just going to stitch around, and I'm just going to go slowly because I don't have a lot of wiggle room here. All right, so let's just... Trying not to stretch the hem as I sew it. All right, I'm going to cut my tail off. Then I'm going to put my knife down and I'm going to overlap my start point by about 1/4 of an inch. Then I'm going to lift up my presser foot, lift my needles up, push everything off the stitch fingers, put the presser foot down, and chain off. See, now what that does is it makes a really nice start-stop point. So instead of, instead of veering off the edge, that just makes it nice and tidy. So I'm just going to do my other hem here. All right, again, tail came off, knife goes down, overlap, lift up presser foot, lift up needles, push everything back, put presser foot down, chain off. Lift up knife so I can cut the tail. All right, let's look and see what we have now. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my 2 tubes right side out. I want to grab my hem, hold it here, and peel this one up onto the inside out one. So now I've got a right side out leg. Okay, so you can see, okay, this is one leg, and you can see that it's right side out on the inside and the outside. The wrong sides are face into each other. So I'm going to do the same thing to this leg. So basically I'm going to turn it completely, well, I guess it really doesn't matter what I do. This one's completely right side out. And you can see how nicely I matched my inseam there. All right, so I'm going to pull this up. So I'm going to go and get the top. I'm going to pull it up like this. All right, so now I have 2 sets. Now my next situation is going to be, or the next thing I have to worry about is making sure I have a right and left leg. So that's the next thing I'm going to do. So I'm going to fold this in half like this. I'm going to fold this one in half. And you can see I made 2 of the same because this is the front and this is the back. So all I have to do to fix it is turn one inside out the other way. All right, so now I've got a right and left leg. All the right sides are faced out. So what I'm going to do now is I want to see if I can sew the crotch seams separately, just so the seam allowances are face in. And I think I can. I think if I put, let me see. So I'm going to take these 2 and I'm going to pin them together. This is what I meant about I think I thought it all the way through, but I wasn't sure because I wasn't 100% sure if this was going to work. But basically, I'm going to pin my inseam together here along the crotch. And then I can follow this up to the top. All right, so here's my front edge. This is my front crotch seam. And then I'm going to pin my back crotch seam. Okay, so now I've got my crotch seam pinned together. Oops. Okay, now I've got my crotch seam pinned together. All right, so I want to sew this single crotch seam, and then I think what I have to do to get to the other one, because the other one is on the outside, is I think I have to turn the whole thing inside out like I was doing it the other way. So let's try this. All right, so I'm just going to sew this crotch seam, not catching anything else. So I want to make sure I get through my inseams together evenly. All right, and then up the front. So now I've got one crotch seam sewn. Okay, so see, now it kind of looks like this. So what I want to do is get in there and do my opposite crotch seam. And I think I'll just be able to. Let me see. I think, like I said, I just want to make sure it's not twisting inside. That seems like that's laying flat. All right, so now the next step is I did this one crotch, so now let's go inside here and get the other one. But I want the seam allowance to be on the inside. So see, what's happening here is if I sew this and just join it like I did the first one, my seam is going to be facing out. So let's see if I can get that seam inside. I'm going to turn each leg inside out, and I think that that will do it. Let's see. I'm going to turn this one inside out. And then I'm going to turn this one inside out, and then we should be able to get to that crotch seam and have it be inside when I sew it. Okay, so yeah, see, now I'm just going to put my crotch seams together, and that will allow me to sew it so it's inside. This is exciting. See, it is going to work. I wasn't 100% sure, but yay, it worked. So after you sew the first one that you can get to, so that the seam will be on the inside, turn both legs inside out so you can get to the other crotch. Okay, so there's all right, so I'm gonna let me just make sure. Let me just see here. If I lay this like this, I'm gonna pin this one like this. All right, so I'm just gonna put a bunch of Wonder Clips here. I wanna make sure that after I sew it, it's gonna go together right. The other thing that's nice about these Wonder Clips is they don't shake off. So let's see, I can put a bunch of them here, and then I can just see how that's going to be. All right, so let me just see here. Let me just get, if I had had two different color of this fabric, I could have done like reversible and have two different colors. That would be cool. All right, so I can see this is going to work because see how my my seams are going to be both inside, and I will be able to get to this one to sew it. So I'm just going to pull it out like this so I can get to the entire seam. Let me get my serger. All right, this is exciting. Now, mind you, I probably will only need to wear these a few times this winter because anything above 30, single layer is fine for me. But if you're always cold, this will make a nice cozy pair. All right. So I'm just sewing my second crotch seam here. You know, just be careful you're not catching anything else. You know, and because this fabric is moisture wicking, it's going to be really nice. I'm really excited about this. And again, I'm just making sure I'm not, you know, cutting anything else or catching anything else. All right. All right, so you can see here now, both of my fronts, this is my front, and I can peek in here and see that my seam allowances are enclosed inside the layers. And now we're ready to add the waistband. This is really, look how cool these are. And the best thing is, the hem is finished. So I've got a finished hem. Okay, everything's finished. All we have left to do is put on a waistband. So let me show you how to do that. All right, so these yoga pants are going to be pretty snug fitting. So I've cut a waistband here, and it's already folded down on the top. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it so it's maybe just a little bit shorter than the width of my pants. So maybe I'll skim off like another 1/2 inch. Okay, so it'll be like an inch. It'll be like 1.5 inches shorter. So I'm just going to cut it right here. Okay. to create my waistband, then let me just drag this over here again. To create my waistband, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put right sides together, and I'm just going to sew this short seam. All right, so literally just going to sew it into a circle. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to fold it in half and we're going to add it to the top of our legs. That's what we're going to do next. All right, so I was tempted to baste the 2 layers of pants together because we're going to have 4 layers of fabric when we sew the waistband. But I'm just going to be real careful. So before I do anything, I'm just going to pin my layers of my legs together. So let me do that first. And then what I'll do is I will make sure that I get all 4 layers agreeing with each other, you know, so I can sew it all in one seam. I don't want to create any more bulk than I have to here. So I'll just put one in the kind of in the middle just to hold the layers. Now, I'm thinking about this, and I always say put the plush side against your skin. I've put both of my plush sides against each other, but really this fabric is nice and soft on the wrong side too. So maybe next time what I should have done is make a inside out pair and a right side out pair that I could put together so the plush is against my skin, but the seam allowances are still in between the layers. So that is a little bit of a screw up, but it's my first time trying to make this. So, you know, and you're with me doing it. So there you go. So if you want to take advantage of the plush side, you have to make an inside out pair and a right side out pair and then put them together with the seam allowances together. So you'd be putting the right side of the inside ones against the wrong side of the public outside layer. All right, so I'm just going to find my halfway point on my waistband. So here's my seam over here. So I'm just going to stick a wonder clip right here. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my center back seam and I'm going to line that up with the center back of my pants. And I'm going to put it on the outside like this. And I'm just going to pin all these layers together. And because it's so bulky here, I am going to just slide it over a little bit so they're not right on top of each other. So my center back seam is not going to line up with the center back seam of my pants. But no one's going to see that because obviously I'm hiking in these. So just to remove the bulk, I offset the seam a little bit. So the waistband seam is a little bit over here now. Okay, so they're not right on top of each other, but that's okay. And then I'm going to line up the opposite side of the waistband with the center front. I'll get rid of a clip and just clip that together. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stretch. You can see there's very little to stretch, but I'm just going to stretch the waistband to match. I'm going to walk my finger in there like that and just pin all 4 layers together. And I'm making sure they're all, you know, lining up. And then let's do that to the opposite side. So again, I am just going to stretch the band so it matches the legs, and then I'm just going to walk my fingers in there like that so I know where to pin that to it. All right, and then to check it, you know, just look and see and make sure it looks like you have an even amount of ease in between all your pins or your clips. Okay, so I can see that that's pretty good. So now we're going to go back to the serger and we're going to serge the waistband on. And I'm going to stretch the waistband to match the leg, so I really don't care which layer is on the bottom. I'm just going to start right in front of one of my clips. I'm just going to stretch this little section to match, and I'm just going to carefully make sure all of those raw edges are even. All right, so we're coming to the start point. And I'm just going to do the same thing I did when I sewed the hems. I'm just going to overlap my start point. Cut that off. Put my knife down. Overlap. Lift my presser foot, lift my needles, push everything off, put my presser foot down, and chain off. So here's how they look. The only seam that's showing is the seam, you know, that attaches the waistband, but look how nice those look. The back looks like. Now, this is what I was saying. I offset my seam here just so I wouldn't have all that bulk. And honestly, I would never wear my shirt tucked in, so no one's ever going to see that. And it was much easier to sew because the bulk was kind of spread around. So, you know, I've never made a pair of lined pants before, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take off the pants. I have on leggings right now. I'm just going to take them off, and I'm going to model these for you right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my leg, see? And I made them extra long so I could do this. This is what I wanted to show you. See how I curled it over my heel? That's how I'm going to keep my feet warm. So now I have super warm leggings for when it's below 30. It has to be windy and below 30 for it to be cold enough for me to wear these. And just to finish up, the mailman came while I was sewing, and PG sent me. PG is one of many of my lovely ladies who follow along with me, and I'm gonna see what she sent me. Oh my gosh. She sent me, what is that? Oh, I don't recognize. Oh, this is hockey, obviously, because there's a hockey guy there. Flyers. The Flyers. I wonder if that's a Florida team. Let me see. She said, I had fleece left over from a jacket I made for my daughter-in-law, who is a huge Flyer fan. That's so nice. I will make sure she gets a coupon code too. And look at the cute little pom-poms she did on 2 of them. Very nice. So this is really exciting, PG. Thank you so much. And those are such cool colors. Someone is going to be so happy to get these. All right, so let's bring the pile back. Look at this. You ladies are amazing. Look at that. Hats, warm hats for all. We're making it happen. Thank you so much. All right, so if you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. I know Hanukkah finished up a couple days ago, so happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, happy every holiday, and happy New Year. And actually, I had streaming trouble with on Friday, and I couldn't do my FabFit Friday. So I'm not going to do a FabFit Friday Christmas Day, but on New Year's Day, I will do a special edition of FabFit Friday where I show you my completed road trip wallet, and I'm going to do a trunk show of all my Bernina Wearable Art fashion show entries on New Year's Day. So I hope you join me for that because that's going to be a lot of fun. I have a lot of really beautiful embroidered garments I can share. So that's what I will be doing New Year's Day, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So I hope you join me. So I will be able to say Happy New Year to you on New Year's Day. And if you have any questions about how to make lined leggings, please post your comments below and I will help you. Okay, and I'll have links to the fabric and the pattern I used for this little project in the description below as well. So happy holidays, happy sewing, stay safe, and I will see you again very soon.